Today, Rinpoche continued his transmission and explanation of the last volume of the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, focusing mainly on opponents' position to the Buddhist view of emptiness, and we are about to embark on the actual view of Madhyamika Prasangika according to our system. Okay. Yes. Welcome, everyone, to the Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center. Once again, Rinpoche is teaching Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. And the contents of this text are all of the teachings that Lord Buddha ever gave. So if we look at what exactly is being presented here, it's a combination of the Kangjur and Tangjur. So the Kangjur are the pronouncements of Lord Buddha, and the Tangjur are the authentic Indian commentaries. And this is what all scholars agree comprise the volume of the Hinayana, Mahayana, Tantrayana explanations. So the pronouncements and the commentaries are considered the authoritative sources for this. Now, these commentaries and pronouncements are written in a very difficult manner. They are presupposing levels of understanding that the reader may not have, and they're extremely difficult, even at their most basic entry level of explanation, to understand. So previously, before Nalanda, just previously, and still to this day, because of the density and difficulty of the work, a lot of monasteries and a lot of traditions only chant the words of Buddha, chant those texts without really understanding the meaning of what those words are. So understanding this, combined with the Nalanda tradition of investigation, the Tibetans needed some source of way to understand all of this information that was being brought to them from India, from the different scholars from the Nalanda tradition. And they were having a hard time figuring out in Tibet how to apply those very difficult practices that were being presented. So Lord Atisha is an Indian master that came to Tibet and clarified that by way of three categories. So Lord Atisha wrote something that is called The Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, and he showed how all of Buddha's teachings in the authentic Indian commentaries could be condensed into and summarized into three specific headings. And those headings had three different results. So Atisha presented that in a very short format, if you will, to the Tibetans. And then many years later, Lama Tsongkhapa arrived as Tibetan Buddhism progressed and went through its understandings of what Atisha wrote on its own, and various scholars came through and presented it accurately, but there was still some confusion that had taken place between Tantra and Sutra. So when Lama Tsongkhapa came, he was considered a reformer, and he took the same exact categories, but then wrote an extensive commentary on what each of those categories meant and how one practiced Buddhism from beginning, not knowing anything about Buddhism, to the moment before you are enlightened as a Buddha. So the stage of the path to enlightenment, lay that out in an order and in a palatable way that shows this is dependent on that, that's dependent on this, that's dependent on that. If you have that, then you can get to that. But without, so it's all written in graduated stages of cause and effect. So the way that they categorized them, the scholars all agree that the Buddha talked in terms of getting a better next life. The Buddha talked in terms of just becoming enlightened for yourself without worrying about anyone else. And the Buddha talked about becoming like himself, becoming a Buddha, and how to do that. So the teachings fit into those pockets of understanding. So the first category of teachings, which is the first category of content of the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, is called the teaching shared in common with beings of small capacity. So the major heading is the teachings for beings of three capacities. So there'll be three categories. So the first section of the great treatise deals with the teaching shared in common with beings of small capacity. This is devoted to practitioners who wish to achieve a better, a higher realm rebirth, if you will, in one's next life. So we're currently in the higher realms. So when I say better, it just means better than the alternative, which is lower. So when those words are used, people say, well, we're already in a good rebirth. Why would we want better? It just means when you die, you have better and not. And that's how they bad and good. So the bad is higher realms. Brakes on, edit. The bad is the lower realms, and the good is the higher realms. So the teachings for beings of small capacity, shared in common with beings of small capacity, are focused only on the way that a practitioner is able to have a higher realm rebirth in his or her next life. Now, these practices are also the foundation for everything else as well, but using those teachings alone only allow one to get as far as the best you can get in cyclic existence still. So the Buddha taught a whole range of teachings of how to do that. So the Buddha said, these are the practices. If you go for refuge to the three jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, engage in ethical behavior that abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, and acknowledge your downfalls if you have engaged in negativity, then this is what will allow you to achieve a higher realm rebirth. So in dependence upon those practices, the Buddha stated, you will have a higher realm rebirth. So these are the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. They are focused at next life, but they are only named as a Buddhist goal because Buddhism's goal is really to get out of cyclic existence. But they're still categorically in Buddhism. So that's the first category, and what's first explained in this book, and what is necessary to know all about and to have realized, not just know and have practiced a little. Each of these things that happen and occur are realizations. You realize refuge. You realize the behaviors. You realize these things. They are actual modifications that take place at a core that's different than just reading through and understanding it. It's an actual, you can go for refuge and say those words out loud, and you could still, the moment something bad is going on, seek every other refuge but that. Or you could say those words and actually go for refuge in times of despair and happiness. So it's a realization you're trying to make happen. And that's what causes this and causes that. To be able to get to a point where you give up everything that you think is right, you have to have developed faith and go for refuge. To be able to get renunciation, it's only logical that if you would have to be able to say, what renunciation is, according to Atisha, is just throw everything about this life in the garbage. All things that are about this life, like meaning goals for this life, that aren't focused on doing something good for your future goals of next life or liberation or Buddhism. Throw that all out. Now, to be able to do that, you have to have some kind of faith before that happens. So that's why it's cause and effect. You have to realize refuge before you realize the higher trainings, before you realize that you want to emerge from something. You have to have faith that there's some way to emerge and that there's a co-pilot or something like that. So the teachings for beings of small capacity are not only vehicles to the higher realms, they're vehicles to the medium capacity and vehicles to the great capacity. And that's why they're called shared in common with beings of small capacity, because they're common to medium and great. Rinpoche's asked me to expand upon anything that he's said, so that's what I'm doing. The next is the teaching shared in common with beings of medium capacity. This is for the practitioner who recognizes that the teachings for beings of small capacity allow you to have a good rebirth in cyclic existence, but you still have among the three types of suffering, no matter what, if you're in that circle still. So this next category of teachings is for beings who wish to be free from that altogether and want to achieve what is called nirvana, liberation, a freedom from the causes of suffering and the result of suffering forever. It'll never occur again. There's what's called cessation. There's a cessation of the potential for suffering. So suffering can no longer occur again because the potential for it is gone. So that practitioner says, I want that. I want to be free completely. I never want to be reborn again against my will. I never want to have that kind of thing happen. I never want to be forced into a set of contaminated aggregates without having any say in the matter, and then suddenly I'm having emotions and thoughts, and I have a name, and I think I'm something, and I'm plagued with all kinds of ignorance, misunderstanding, and terror, and have that keep happening again and again beyond my control, and it's being forced by karma. So that practitioner doesn't want to do that anymore. So then the Buddha said for them, they have to practice all of the stuff mentioned in the small scope, but then combine it with what's called the three highest higher trainings. The highest higher training in ethics, highest higher training in concentration, and highest higher training in wisdom. And at this point in time, this practitioner has decided that he or she wishes to emerge from cyclic existence. When we look at the vows that people take, the not the refuge vow, but layperson vow, novice monk vow, novice nun vow, fully ordained monk vow, those are called individual liberation vows. It's presupposing that you either have a facsimile of renunciation or you have renunciation, and that's the reason that you are going forth and becoming a monk. That's the reason you're going forth and becoming a nun. That's the reason that I supposedly went forth and became, had lay practitioner vows, because I supposedly wanted to get out of cyclic existence so bad that I went and took vows to keep in order to get out. So that's how serious the vows really are. And we just kind of take them like, yeah, I'm not going to kill, I'm not going to steal, I'm not going to lie, I won't commit adultery, and I won't drink anymore. I just won't drink anymore. All right, that's 5 things. That's easy. But when you look at lying, what lying really means, like, do you work under the table? Oops. Oh, yep, there it is. You know what I mean? Like when you start to look at what lying really is and stealing really is, and that may apply to both. But when you look at, you look at what the ramifications of saying, I won't lie anymore, I won't steal anymore. That's a heavy thing. Why would someone ever make those proclamations? The Buddha said you would only make such a proclamation if you wanted to get out, and that's what you had on your mind day and night. So the medium scope practitioner, according to Lama Tsongkhapa in another text, which is a basic commentary on Atisha's text, but it's shorter than Atisha's text, says that once you have renunciation, you day and night only think of getting out of cyclic existence. Like everything you do is to get out. That's it. So the Buddha said you practice the highest higher training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom while you're in that mode, that state of wanting to just be out more than anything else. So you have a severe amount of perseverance happening. You can only imagine if all you thought about day and night was getting out of cyclic existence. Like if all you think about is like getting a car, a house, now it's a house thing. All you think about is this house, and that's all you think about. Like you can imagine what it would be like if all you thought about was getting out of cyclic existence and the measures and the lengths you would go in order to make that happen. Like what you would do on a daily basis to get out of cyclic existence if that's all you thought about. You wouldn't remove yourself from the cushion unless it was to go help someone or something or to go see your teacher. I mean, that was what would make the most sense if you believed it all. But we really don't. It sounds reasonable to us and to me, and I come here for 20 years and I believe it's reasonable, but believe it beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's a tough jump. That's a big leap to where day and night all I think about is getting out of cyclic existence, because I still have that desire for all this stuff, so I must not have it yet. So when we're talking about the realizations that are taking place in this book, they aren't cursory glance, Westerner knows it because we went to good schools and can read a book. It's not that. It's an internal realization that changes how you behave and think at the core. And when you have it, you know you have it. And when you don't have it, you can pretend you have it until you hear what it really is to have it. And then when you ask yourself if you really have that, and when there's no one looking and the lights are out and you're in bed, do I really have that? Is that how I feel all day? I'd be surprised, unless everyone's just pretending around me that to have afflictions, if that was the case, because it's definitely not for me. So that medium scope practitioner wants to get out of cyclic existence, but they don't feel they're strong enough to help everyone get out of cyclic existence. They're like, this is bad for me, and that's enough. I can only handle getting myself out, and I don't believe I can really even become a Buddha necessarily, but I believe that I can get out of cyclic existence. So the medium scope practitioner is somewhere in there where they just want to get out. Whether they believe it's possible to become a Buddha or not, some do, some don't, technically in scripture. But the underlying theme is that they can't move past their own individual liberation. So because of that, and where they are is because of they have certain imprints, and they have certain imprints, it's kind of a double sword. Like, the imprints that they have are disallowing them to move to Buddhahood, but the imprints they've removed are allowing them to maintain nirvana. So they're in an abiding nirvana. A Buddha is in a non-abiding nirvana, so Buddha goes and helps people. This being is just sitting in bliss forever, till eternity, until a Buddha says there's still work to do. But the only suffering that they have that doesn't feel like suffering, a Buddha would think it's suffering because they're hindered, is that they're not omniscient, so they can't go understand how to help all sentient beings completely. And why is that? Because the path that they chose removed all of the afflictions, and they're called the afflictive obstructions. What do they obstruct? They obstruct the person from being able to be liberated. But the imprints of those things haven't been removed, because there's still a little bit of self-cherishing attitude there. They haven't moved to what the next scope is, which is deciding to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, recognizing that, yes, I have this suffering, but so does this person, and that person. And many of them don't even have the idea of a solution. And I do, and I know it's right, and I can't imagine just keeping it a secret. I've got to figure out how to get to this goal that says that I can help them all to understand this secret the best way possible. And that would be to be omniscient, to have no obstructions to knowing. So the only way to get to that goal, according to Buddhism, is to practice the teachings for beings of great capacity, that third category of teachings. This practitioner does all the things I just said, and then unites it with the desire to definitely emerge and become a Buddha for the sake of sentient beings. So the desire is to become definition of it is to become a Buddha for the sake of sentient beings. So then this practitioner develops that realization, which is called bodhicitta, the desire to become a Buddha for the sake of sentient beings, and then from that day and night wanting to become a Buddha to free sentient beings from suffering, he or she practices 6 perfections of generosity, ethics, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom in order to speed themselves into that goal of removal of the obstructions to omniscience and to achieve Buddhahood. Now, the Tantrayana fits into this category. This category has the perfection of wisdom and the resultant vehicle, the Tantrayana teachings, both of which are Mahayana, both fall into the teachings for beings of great capacity, and both require the medium scope and the small scope to work. So that's what was confused in Tibet. People thought, I can just do Tantra, and the other things I can't practice at the same time because they're mutually exclusive. And they weren't understanding that they were foundational practices, and that Tantrayana has another name, and it's called the resultant vehicle. And there's 2 reasons for that naming. One is using a result as path, but the other is it's a result of the paramita, of the perfection of wisdom teachings, of the foundational, just doing the right thing kind of practices. It says that you'll never be able to concentrate and meditate if you don't have ethics. There's some connection between living right and being able to meditate. So it's all graduated stages, and this text is of 3 volumes in English, but 1 volume in Tibetan, dedicated to how a practitioner shows up at the door of Buddhism and then leaves out the other side a Buddha. And that's what this text shows you how to do. And that's why it's so special and why Rinpoche took a decade to explain it. And I've never heard of more than months. There's a text called The Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. It's like a 23-day teaching that's been written down. Imagine if we wrote down 10 years. 10 years, it's 50, 50, you probably have 45 a year with cancellations and stuff, times like 10. There's 500 teachings online, I do know that. So that's a lot of books, I think. So it wouldn't fit into one, I know that. It'd be like, I think, like I said last week, I think the refuge section is probably as big as this, just on how to go for refuge and why. What a Buddha is, what Dharma is, what Sangha is, what they can do that's so great, and like why you would go for refuge and how. At least that. So, okay, nge kanga laso, ne diso, nge de laso Lamrim laso, yene the jipo chungo din danchen dets laso. Okay.
Jamba naba jebendo le jang kate de pomo jeta na shanchu senba yule nabar jiawa yin suba jambe nabar dana chutaji memi bagang labo shenjong tatayu na nanyu be yeshe mi la shiraji chunji nyumo bi dra nabar pambashide jiba sheba neba shayi chetar me ngama jindo me zo majawo she zo tena tabala do chune traba chewa da tamanta inje de mai bandugo yabi ngaba jine chewa da trabi do te dugo ba tejindo dani yeba zone chewa de jebi ku do ya danzi je yumeba tajeba longri je ngaba chane danzi de chua goa na tene ti tene gomba lola te jebe ku dunge tanje dobane oma ritu la suba yun nabar jene goba jusen tata papale yula dame tonane sibi saben gaban juro ngobo jeta meba yun je sen she tanjinje tawa tanjinje tobe ngobo yoba zonwa na tena je tada ke yu nabar doma jeba sonshin da ke yu do shin ne nanju bayi da no go ba che sonso rebe on shu ke jan de ce me ba ne de bon nu mai ayo de jun da dans la yu la maton yu yeje ne yeje chud da ke me she dommage sonzo toba gahe daje koa chenje himbe toni gombi se toba daje nga go she pawa tala dada yang jebar shade je suzo ju tomba ni gomba bo tala tomba ni da me be te ngozu june ngoju yi tomba ta na kanza te paba jude da me be te ngozu to bi shiro 제대 다음에 비 원송도 또장 수수주 만개와 체만하네 고자죠 다음에 샤데 그네 통비셔로 야한테다이 강사데 대권하니 원송 또 봤대 라기 권한이지 되냐마 마시베 강사신지 들라 롱기 따지 더 권한이 조비 모두 그거반에 케비 얘기지 내히데 소명원송도 줘봐 소명지 제바기 권에 조반도 비셔로 디셔当真着日本西本那级对都胖没要德国那你对我送节周讲他呢大级周本呢周本人那些他们的是比方说给的那些都矛盾的那子没把查实了시 도나 타년 도 셰베 편시베 나즈마 바를 트라비 돌라야 모바 다 고바 손베 된다이 모베 장 대고나니 원송도 두번 되나네 대고나니 마도비 람보 전다와 예야 저바 제시 대고나니 해도 추장 버나 가젤라 발랑이시 발랑게 천이도 모롱와 이제도 무슨도 통화 대담 대고나니 나버 도비 천이도 메테지 라기 켈람바다 양게이 타네도 로도 마와네 서주 폼바 임바 세데 마마오 게데 돈이 공바 버들라 고자 다메바 동반이지 돈데 고도 줘봐 이나네 고주지 도레지 셰베 제베 더바 생계지 내서 도나 동반이 공비 수수주 로데 유다메라 로카 슈나 돈이 또봐 돈이 공바 게라 telā loka shūnāyā yu te ngōju kāngrōng jītō ngāshīn telā dāme ngōju yinā pāpa jū sūsū jū dāme bitūn gōju tō dōgu nā tī tse dāme bitūn te 전시 주제 또바 임베 또제 개와 이노 예야 Jolan Chuchu, Chenmo Yu Jiang, Dame Vitunde, Tunshi Suji Tuba, Due Jindu, Tata Yile Tambu Yu, Tony Gumbi, Lu Tude Dundeba, Shindun Gelo, Dame Bi Tunla, Tude Hina Ne, Machoa Tele Jiang, Choa Mama, Nanju Bi Gonsun Do, Jude, Dame Vitunla, Tude, Machi Shiba Yimbi Shiro, Tena, Dadun Zimbi, Yuribi, Sun Shunwa Yang, Sun Shun Yang Tabi Tawa, Manyeba, Dani La Suba, La Tu Sen Machoa, Zonwa Zanji, Dame Vitun, Gomba Doba Tang, Susu Dame Tode Shebe, Gomba Doba Ne, Lontan Rebe, Lanle, Cheche Chamba Ino,
Yabudu. Okay, so, all right there. Doje Gyewa Yino. Sheang, the Kason Rimche. Sheang.
Yeah.
The Datayan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yellow Niba Gaba. Yellow Gaba Niba.
Okay.
Yellow Gaba Niba Ne.
Okay, decent.
Yeah,
Decent
yeah.
Rimche. Okay. Okay, so we're going to just read through. Beginning, it's Janbeyang, Manjushri as the play. Page 334. Right where it says 778 in the middle-ish of the page, where there's a Manjushri sutra quote. Okay, here we go. As the play of Manjushri... Hold on one second, folks. I should have done this. As the play of Manjushri Sutra says, Daughter, how are bodhisattvas victorious in battle? Manjushri, when they analyze, they do not observe any phenomena. Thus, yogis open the eye of wisdom and defeat the enemy. Why is that? Hold on one second. Okay, I get it. So there's a interplay going on where there's some father saying, Daughter, how are bodhisattvas victorious in battle? And then Manjushri then answers, when they analyze, they do not observe any phenomena. So there's three people, it looks like here. You can't see the rest of the sutra, but it looks like it looks like, oh, is there a mistake here? Right, Manjushri is a male deity. But it looks like in this there would probably be three people there, and that's why. Maybe more, but at least three based on the way it's being written. Thus, yogis open the eye of wisdom and defeat the enemy of the afflictions with the weapon of wisdom. They are fearless. They do not shut their eyes like cowards. Therefore, when you are frightened upon mistaking a rope for a snake, you have to stop the suffering of fear and error by developing certain knowledge that the coiled thing is a rope rather than a snake. Likewise, you are mistaken in thinking that the two selves exist, and this mistake creates the sufferings of cyclic existence. But decisive scripture and reasoning brings certainty that the object of the conception of self does not exist, and you understand that the conception of self is a mistake. Through then growing accustomed to this fact, you overcome that misconception. When you stop that misconception, you overcome all the sufferings of cyclic existence which it created. Therefore, this is the reason that the collections of Madhyamaka arguments and other such works refute objects by analyzing them. Aryadeva's 400 stanzas says, when you see that objects have no self, the seeds of cyclic existence will cease. Chandrakirti's commentary on the Middle Way says, there will be conceptions if you accept the existence of real things. We have already fully analyzed how it is that real things do not exist. He says that conceptions which are extreme views arise when such misconceptions hold that real things exist. So he gives many ways of analyzing how the objects of those misconceptions do not exist. Chandrakirti's commentary on the Middle Way also says, having understood that the self is the object of this ignorance, yogis put an end to the self. The Lord of Reasoning, Dharmakirti, in his commentary on the Compendium of Valid Cognition, without negating the object of this conception of self, it is impossible to eliminate it. In reaction to good qualities and faults, there is attachment, hostility, and so forth. You eliminate them by not seeing their objects as real, rather than by purifying the external object of attachment. So again, this is not stating that the external objects, external enemies, external people are not real in the sense of being conventionally existent. It's not in any way negating that they're there. It's negating how we see them as being there that causes our reaction. It's how we don't look beyond, aren't able to see the collection and the coming together. We're only able to see this one stable thing and react to it. And it's not being seen, if you will, understood correctly. So our reaction, based on our misunderstanding, it's all incorrect. And once you have the understanding in a real way, not just intellectually, yeah, things come from other things, I get it. When you really, really swallow what the implications of that are, you're able, I've heard, to see, you get to the point where there's someone angry who always yells at you, and it takes you 5 minutes to recover from it and understand that it's just my reaction to my attachment to them not being the way I think they should be, because I'm naming them a certain way and projecting what they should be, and they're not. So once you get to all that, maybe it takes 5 minutes. And then this person, as you practice Buddhism, it only takes 4 minutes, and as you practice a little more, it takes 3 minutes, and then you get to the point where, if emptiness is working, where you're just seeing, and it's another, Geshe talks about this, you're literally seeing a form in front of you that noise comes out of, that's louder than usual, and a mouth that's moving, and there's notes coming out of it, and you're seeing the whole interplay and not really buying into it. So therefore, you're not reacting and getting angry. So you've just stopped the chain of angry people coming at you like that. Because the only thing that creates more of them is you get angry, and then you create a connection where with those non-virtuous activities, the anger coming at you and you're reacting in anger. But if you can see the emptiness in it, you've just deconstructed the situation and deconstructed and stopped the reaction that causes it to happen again, basically. So it doesn't mean you don't ever have any imprints left of that kind of stuff, but you didn't make any more that day, the day that you didn't react to the noises and the mouth moving and the person flailing and all of that, because you knew that it was causes and conditions and that they were trying to just be happy. You're trying to be happy, and there was a head-on collision with those two things right then and there. And then it wasn't anything that you thought it was real, like it was, like so real, and it's not true. So you can't even take it as seriously anymore. And that's how you stop the chain of reaction, basically. And that's how emptiness works. Because it's hard to find the connection between, yeah, I get how it works, and why does that make me not angry? Why is that going to make me not angry at this person? Because I know, and that's how. Because you're able to realistically put, in psychology, what is it, I over E? Intellect over emotion instead of emotion over intellect. It's kind of like that in like the purest form, though. It's like psychology says that the way that through cognitive psychology you fix things is through like thinking, like, cognitive and thinking through them, and then you realize that this isn't reaction, this isn't a good way to react, This is just basically doing at its pure level of saying like, it's not a good way to react because you're not reacting to anything you think you're reacting to, and you aren't who you think you even are. So it's just all a big mistake, So it's totally different than what cognitive psychology would say, but it's similar in that You're just breaking down what's really happening at that moment, as opposed to what you're just clinging to and then reacting to. So that's how it works. So that's why when you see this rope you think is a snake, you're terrified it can bite you. But when you know it's a rope, when you know that it's just noises and flailing, it can't make you react. You don't have the fear when you know it's not a snake. You can't have the anger at something that's not real, that's an illusion. It's hard to get. It says that in war we're killing corpses. It's all an illusion. It's anyway. Aryadeva, we went on that. Chandrakirti, we heard from him. He says that conceptions which are extreme views arise when such misconceptions holds that real things exist. So he gives many ways of analyzing how objects of those misconceptions do not exist. Chandrakirti's commentary in the Middle Way also says, having understood that the self is the object of this ignorance, yogis put an end to the self. The Lord of Reasoning, Dharmakirti, in his commentary on the Compendium of Valid Cognition says, without negating the object of this conception of self, it is impossible to eliminate it. In reaction to good qualities and faults, there is attachment, hostility, and so forth. You eliminate them by not seeing their objects as real, rather than by purifying the external object of attachment. So here again, there is self of person and self of phenomena. When we look at selflessness and what we're trying to abandon, so without negating the object of this conception of self can be of the I, but also the self of phenomena, that we believe that phenomena is truly established, the way we believe I am truly established, and then others are truly established. So that's when it says self, it's not just referring the yogis figure out that they're empty. It's also referring to that the action's empty, the agent's empty, the object's empty, all of the players in the circumstances are all empty of having some solid good or bad. They just have collections that have reactions, basically. There are many such statements. Some say that all conceptual thought of any sort binds you to cyclic existence, and thus all thoughts cease when you meditate on emptiness. This has to be analyzed. For ordinary beings who meditate on emptiness, is emptiness the meaning of selflessness, manifest or hidden? It is the former. Then those persons would be noble beings because they perceive the meaning of selflessness. If you say that this is not contradictory for someone to be an ordinary being and yet to perceive the meaning of selflessness, then we would say that it is not contradictory for a person for whom the meaning of selflessness is hidden to be a noble being, for the two cases are completely similar. So this only means something if you've studied the debate terminology. There's manifest phenomena, and extremely hidden phenomena. So hidden has two categories of regular hidden and extremely hidden, and emptiness and karma fall into the hidden category. So you can only realize hidden phenomena and dependence upon a sign and so forth. So it's just saying you couldn't have realized it, the most hidden one, which not only which requires a direct perception to have realized, and if you had that, you'd be a superior already. So it's saying you can't have realized that which is hidden. Rinpoche, ngujor kujor, shintu kujor, the dayan da the detsilaro na Rinpoche, ngujor kujor, gangisena de yure, ngujor kujor yure, then the detsilaro na the shintu kujor, the dayan da the shintudwe, the tomba ni shintu kujor. The lay shintu kujor.
Shintu kujor ta karasogure.
Lay judre.
Jimbal tawal longsho jungala so.
Lesso. Shintu kujor. Lesso.
Jimbal longsho teji de. Zobe nada zobe je. Sante je leju. Watu so ga shingu yimba shintu kujor.
Then shintu kujor the susu juo kanje shindu.
Long kona la tene shindu.
Long kona.
Lesso.
Yichi. Lesso. Then the tomba ni junzi kujor. Then junzi kujor. Then dayan da. Ngundu dayan da. Then gari shene the lama tsong kappa the kelen the papa the good the Junzi Kujor, the Tombani, Dame, Kansai Dame, the Dame, the Shintuna, the Papa Yengu. Ale. Okay, so it's saying, so just real quickly, there's manifest, hidden, and extremely hidden phenomena categorically. Rinpoche just explained it. And so manifest phenomena is the phenomena that we all react to and see and agree upon. This is a hand. That is Jeff. That's Bob, Bill, and Linda, and I don't know, Maria. And a car, exactly, and land. So we all agree on that. That's manifest phenomena, something that just requires an ordinary being to see. Hidden phenomena requires a correct sign in order to arrive at it, and if one is able to cognize it directly, then he or she has reached the path of seeing. So in order to have direct, valid cognition of hidden phenomena, if one has direct, valid cognition of hidden phenomena, in this case, emptiness of the hidden phenomena, emptiness, it means that they've reached the path of seeing and are an Arya. You can have an inferential, valid cognition of emptiness, which is incontrovertible without being an Arya, but that is not directly cognized. So it's saying, if you're saying that they can directly cognize that which is hidden, you're saying they're Aryas already. It's saying that they've reached the path of seeing already. They could have an inferential understanding of it, but not have directly understood it cognitively, because that requires direct perception. So Rinpoche said, well, what would be extremely hidden phenomena if emptiness is an extremely hidden phenomena? And that would be something like this. From generosity comes the enjoyments. From ethics comes happiness. So the direct link between certain behaviors and their consequences karmically. So what does that require? That requires an omniscient being. An omniscient being, according to Buddhism, is the only one who can understand why Jeff's here, has a big nose, his hair is turning gray at 47 instead of at 55, like all of that little stuff. Like, why did that cause and effect karmically happen? That requires omniscience. All of that stuff is in the extremely hidden category, and the only way that you can know it is called inference through belief. Inference through belief, because the Buddha said it, kind of thing. So the only way that you can achieve inference into that extremely hidden phenomena is through faith. Now, inference through belief doesn't happen blindly. It's through an enormous amount of investigation. The Buddha said this and said that about the Four Noble Truths, so that was true, and there was no figurative language being used in that, and compared to this, that seems... So you get there through analysis, so you develop this faith that is a realization, like I said before about refuge. So these things are all realizations. So you have a realization that's incontrovertible that, through ethics comes this, through generosity comes that, and you believe it beyond the shadow of a doubt because you've put enough other stuff together to say, if that's true, that must be true too. And that's basically what inference through belief means, that you believe, you have so much faith in everything else that was said and in the Buddha that it would make no sense for that not to be accurate. So anyway, I'm not there, but I would like to be there. I have a facsimile of it. It seems plausible to me. Very, very plausible. Like right on the cusp of it all. But still, to be able to say incontrovertible, I don't know. I'm not there. And I'm only saying that to just kind of show everyone like how big of a deal we're all kind of beginners here. There's no you're a beginner. Geshe Rinpoche would say he's a beginner. So if he is, then whoo! So the Lord of Reasoning, Dharmakirti, in the Commentary on Valid Cognition, without negating the object of the conception of self, is impossible to eliminate it. In reaction to the good qualities and faults, there is attachment, hostility, and so forth. You eliminate them by not seeing their objects as real rather than purifying the external objects of attachment. There are many such statements. Some say that all conceptual thought of any sort binds you to cyclic existence, and thus all thoughts cease when you meditate on emptiness. This has to be analyzed. For ordinary beings who meditate on emptiness, is emptiness emptiness, the meaning of selflessness, manifest or hidden. It is the former. Then those persons would be noble beings because they perceive the meaning of selflessness. If you say that it is not contradictory for someone to be an ordinary being and yet to perceive the meaning of selflessness, then we would say that it is not contradictory for a person for whom the meaning of selflessness is hidden to be a noble being, for the two cases are completely similar. Also, if such ordinary persons perceive reality, they would not understand that their object was reality. Therefore, someone else would have to identify their object for them by using scriptural evidence to prove that it was reality. To scholars, this is ridiculous because you are claiming that the teacher uses inference to prove something that the student has established with perception. You should not talk like this in the presence of those who understand philosophical reasoning. You cannot argue that even though perception establishes the meaning of reality, reason establishes its conventional name. For Dharmakirti, the Lord of Reasoning, says that it is a point for someone who is extremely ignorant because it is taken for granted by women who herd cattle. He is referring to the case of arguing with someone who is ignorant of something which even herders take for granted. That is, that when a meaning is established, one who knows to use the term. So if you claim that of this short of profundity ignorant person perceives reality, you must tell us what kind of fool does not know reality. I got to see something really quick here. I just need to know something. Rinpoche, the Natsi Mo Par Dra Chi Ro, the Pumo,
No.
the Na Ga Na Tsimu Padra Chi the Garishine, the Gangen Sene, the Jemen, Lun Lang Chagare. The indicate that that's good. The Chenmo, the Semele. No, that's good. Not Chenmo. Padro Shiro not Chenmo de Longire.
Not the Mapatrasharos.
The Garishine Jemen, Getchishe, Jemen, the Khensur Rinpoche, the Jemen, the Sam Yabio Mare. The Sempocha, Rona.
Not about Trasharos. Pajusukin Chile, the Sabores, Seguro.
Then the Jemen Getchishe? Pumo Getchishe. Okay. So it doesn't, I was just asking, just for technical purposes, here it speaks of this, they're always using gender, and the Tibetan doesn't pronounce gender. So in here, it says extremely, because it is taken for granted by women who herd cattle. It says people. Now, at the time, women herded cattle. But I just wanting to point out that there isn't gender-specific language in there. They probably took the historical... anyway, that's what I was just asking Rinpoche about. Just because I'm always curious what the point of specific things that were being said were. Because to combat this, say that all sentient beings have the same Buddha nature, when something in there seems to be contradictory, then I question it. And that this is all just cultural, and it's because at the time that's who herded cattle, and those were people who didn't have an education. So it's saying that you as a scholar are saying that if anybody knows this, because these are scholars talking to each other that are debating in this context, then you're saying that someone who has no education knows emptiness also. So that's what's being said here. But then if someone's trying to read it as patriarchal, then it can cause problems. So I always just clarify that, because over the years, It is when things like this arise, it seems like when I see hands go up, and I always want to put the context of it in and the understanding of it in, so that you can spend a lifetime focusing on something that isn't really what it was. And I've seen it happen. So I've just always tried to point that stuff out. And why it was written in a certain way. Here he's referring to the case of arguing with someone who is ignorant of something which even herders take for granted. That is, when an established meaning is established, one knows to use the term. So if you claim that this sort of profundity ignorant person perceives reality, you must tell us what kind of fool does not know reality. So someone who has no education whatsoever perceives reality, then who doesn't, it's saying. So then, even if we did allow that reality as something an ordinary person can perceive, perception alone is not tenable as the defining characteristics in terms of which reality is posited. So where it's saying ordinary being, person, it's not talking about like lay persons or ordained. It's talking about someone who's not an Arya. You're either ordinary or you're superior. So they're talking about specific categories of people here. Ordinary means you haven't seen emptiness. That's all it means. A monk, nun, a layperson, all ordinary here means is that you have not seen emptiness directly. Ordinary person, it always only means that. So even if we did allow that the reality is something an ordinary person can perceive, perception alone is not tenable as the defining characteristics in terms of which reality is posited. Just as Kartse, a Holstein-like cow, is a cow but is not appropriate as the defining characteristic of a cow, since to argue that this is tenable would contradict even your own assertions. It is obvious that there is nothing left to say about your claim that perception establishes the meaning of reality, but reason is still needed to establish its conventional name. I will not elaborate. If the meaning of emptiness, the selflessness which is the object of meditation, is hidden from the meditator, then it is ridiculous to claim that this hidden object is apprehended by a consciousness which is free from conceptual thought. In brief, if the minds of ordinary beings who are meditating on emptiness are not directed towards selflessness as their object, then it is contradictory to claim that they are meditating on emptiness. If they are directed at that object, then it is certain that the object is either manifest or hidden. If they were manifest to them, then they would be noble beings. Therefore, it must be held for ordinary beings the meaning of selflessness is hidden. As this is so, they know the meaning of selflessness by way of a concept, so it's contradictory to claim that this knowledge is free from conceptual thought. Furthermore, as it is asserted that even someone on the great level of the supreme mundane quality stage of the path of preparation, so this is path of accumulation, path of preparation, and then the path of seeing. And then the path of meditation, then the path of no more learning. There are 5 Mahayana paths. The path of preparation is the second path, and there are 4 stages within the path of preparation, and during these stages you reach the point where you have inferential, valid cognition of emptiness. The last stage of it, number 4, I said there were 4 stages, is called the last mundane state of existence. So it means that the next thing that happens is you become a superior. So the line of demarcation between ordinary being and superior being is ordinary being, the path of preparation and below, superior, the path of seeing and above. So that when you hear these words, they're referring to people who have reached specific goals on the path. So a superior has seen emptiness directly. An ordinary person has not. On the path of preparation, you have inferential valid cognition of emptiness. It's not changeable at that point, so you know it. You're correct, but you haven't seen it. Because to see it, you can't have conceptual thought. So you can't experience it with conceptual thought, because then it's not an experience, it's just conceptual thought. So you have to, though, lead up to that experience with the most conceptual understanding of it possible, then you can non-conceptually understand it. So that's the way that it says it happens. Furthermore, as it is asserted that even someone on the great level of the supreme mundane quality stage, the supreme mundane, that's the 4th stage. That's what it's called. It's sometimes called the last mundane stage, the highest mundane stage. So supreme mundane here is referring to the 4th level of the path of preparation. quality stage of the path of preparation knows that the meaning of emptiness by way of a concept. They're still using words, still using conceptuality. They have not directly seen it. It is most contradictory to them to claim that a beginner meditates on emptiness with a mind that is free from conceptual thought. If an ordinary being's consciousness could not know the meaning of selflessness without conceptual thought, this would readily prove that this consciousness is non-mistaken. It would therefore be a yogic perception because it would be a non-mistaken, non-conceptual awareness of the meaning of selflessness. That is what happens on the path of seeing. You have a non-mistaken, non-conceptual awareness of the meaning of selflessness, the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. There are those who claim that one meditates on the meaning of selflessness by merely holding the mind in check and not allowing it to scatter to the two selves, yet without discovering the correct view, which uses reason to refute the object of the conception of self. And there are those who claim that ordinary beings meditate on selflessness with a consciousness that is free from conceptual thought. For the reasons given, those who make these claims go far astray from the path of Scripture and reason. So this is negating that Hashan view once again, that just emptying your mind somehow makes you see reality, and that you don't have to understand what the object of negation isn't all thought. The object of negation is the true establishment of thought, the true establishment of I, the true establishment of other. The object of negation isn't thought. The object of negation is how that thought actually abides, what that thought, where that thought actually comes from. Like, that's what negates the arisal of mistaken. It's finding where the mistake comes from and then stopping that by changing whatever you need to stop making that mistake. Like, you don't just fix a mistake by not having any idea what the mistake is and just like emptying it out, your mind out. That doesn't even begin to make sense. You're completely angry. If I just empty my mind out, I won't get angry again. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. You haven't gotten at what made you angry, or what inside of you makes it possible to go from 0 to 100. Like, you haven't figured that out. Why would you think that just clearing your mind out would fix it? It just doesn't make any sense, even when you apply it to something like simple, like an angry outburst that I have and we all have had. Like, it doesn't, but just like when you have it, like, clear my mind out, it'll never happen again. It doesn't even begin to make sense. You have to figure out, why did it arise? What made me react like that? And then stop all that, the causes, in order to stop the effect. You can't wish something away. Once a car is made, you can't wish it away. You have to have not made it. You have to figure out how you get the person to stop putting the metal together and the tires on it. Like, if you don't want the car to be there, you can't just wish it away. Close your eyes and pretend it's not there. You have to go figure out how it got there. If you don't want it to be there again, if you never want to see a car again, you have to stop all cars from being made. You just don't close your eyes and say, no more cars ever again, right? I mean, it seems so logical. I just don't know how, there's a whole, schools of people following that. But I guess if you were told only that and nothing else over and over again, ants, follow ants, that's what Nagarjuna said. Okay, Disan Rinpoche, Luk Gapa Nipa Ne.
Luk Gapa Nipa Ne Kajinare, Dame Noma Niti, Tawa, Manyebe, Jayang, Modoba, Juba Tana. Onye gomba, Mariba, Kujan, Kojajan, Debe, Kama Marime, Jan Dame, Nedwiji Tawa, Nye Shenshi, Kanza de Maduba, Jaba Tanji, Tomba Nikumba, Ino She Mao, Dene Riba Mayinte, Kanza de Nedwiji Tawa, Nyeba Yinbe, Ku Muduba, Kang Gomba Tanchi, Nedwiji, Tawa Nyalan Baby, Tuan Gomba, Juna, Tadayi, Kanza de Shanchuji Sen Gomba Te, Nedwiji Tawa, Gomba Manjuyu, Jusen, Jinyi, Mheshi, Kete, Shanchuji Sen Gomba Te, Nedwiji Tawa, Nyebi, Kanza Ke yin yang, tawa ti, ti tse, tenpa she ne, ti ting du ya ne, gomba mebe su nyang na, ona kanza ti, nga dunji tawa nye chang, gombi tse, tawa ti tenpa she ne, tatu tu ya be, yin na, toni gomba yin du chu chang, te maduba jaba tangche tawa changba chetanjo te na tawa nye chang chung yu che te na nga che tayu ten la popi tuen tenpa she ne tomba nye gong gui je chen ha maduba jo tang chunju tang shebe toni gomba maro dene rangi lo jang chen ha maduba ha shenen je ne go ta to mo ji zon ne mo du zon ne dene de me no she mo do me je ba me ba shi zon ne ba la she je to de ba me no lo ga ba son ba ne ka ji na re ta wa ma ne be mo do ban jo ba to ni gomba she be ta mo ya mo de la ta wa nye ne to ba kanja jang to ni to ba mo de je me jang chen mo to ba chong re je ti har ngor do su du bi shira je ba cha ji tang na te wo do mo to ba kanja thang je to ni je do gong ba joro she pao de ya ma te de da na ni lo ga ta yu che ba cha ji she ne te je so ni to bo lo be mu to ba to ni gong ba ya ha jang ta wan je de ta yu che ba hong do son ni ga la son la rāndui nā tāyū tīndō yābi gōm gōba nāyū shiro tē nā tāyū jeba shē nē rāngshī mē bā tēn lā pōbi tēn lā yāba yāng tē yāng chōng zī sōng nā tātū tu yāba shō nē shē lū jē yāng Mutuba Kaneba ne Tomba Niji Gomba Yim Gomba Yimbe Toba Sheba Shede Tatu to ne Mene Shara Tur Shene Chonguso Yelu Gaba Jiba ne Kajinare Tata Kama Sung Mateje Tomba Nye Gombe Tse Toni La Ngaba Tangde Tene Ngedun Tei Dun De Sen La Zone Tene Yendo Majoba Joba Toni Shenje Maluba Gomba Yinde Lodan Botar Toni La Loka Mashuba Yang Mela Luni Ba Tar Mutuba Chongyu Che Tomba Nyeji Tawa Tenpa Majiba Yang Meishin Lo Somba Tar Tayu Cheba Ngatu Tang Yang Tatu To Meneba Mutuba Yang Mebi Shiru Nyana Dene Tayu Cheba She Senbi Dun Tawa Chenzang She Ne Tatu To Yogon Kona sheba tuni gumba debe riba maite tatana tala tuni la jogon sheba tuni la jogon sheba shi shine tanchi chigon la donki chonlu mebe shine ni drewa drewa chonga mebe shire shujiba yinbe shiro nipa ranglu jaba ne
Rinpoche, shishina de ngatsu de ka in the trio dan lenja.
ore
Nipa ranglu ngatsu de shenlu kanga
Yeah.
cheson, then
Yeah.
shishina the abudu, then the yeah. Okay. Pam pararam pam. Give me un momento. The second refutation, opponent's position. We agree that it is not correct for meditation on emptiness to be the mere setting of the mind in a state that lacks any thought without finding the view of emptiness, which is selfless. Therefore, the position given above is not correct. However, once someone finds the view, which is definitive meaning of selflessness, all cases of that person placing the mind in a non-conceptual state of meditations on emptiness. Reply, this is not correct. Your claim implies that because a person has found the view of definitive meaning, all of his or her non-conceptual meditations on the meaning are meditations on the meaning determined by the definitive view. If that is the case, then please tell us why the person's meditation on the spirit of enlightenment would not be a meditation on the view of the definitive meaning. Opponent, the meditation on the spirit of enlightenment is a meditation of a person who has found the view of the definitive meaning. Yet it is not a meditation during which one is mindful of the view and stabilizes the mind on it. Indeed, I agree that when a person who has found the definitive view meditates, it may be considered meditation on emptiness if it is a meditation on which he or she is mindful of the view and then stabilizes the mind on the view. But how could this entail that all instances of that person placing the mind in a non-conceptual state are meditations sustaining the view? Therefore, although you have found the view, when sustaining the view, you must meditate on emptiness by remembering the meaning which the view previously determined. Simply placing your mind in a state of non-conceptual suspension does not constitute meditation on emptiness. Our own system's understanding of the meaning of the phrase without any discursive thought has already come up several times in the sections on serenity and insight. It means to keep holding the mind on the object of meditation without engaging in a great deal of analysis which thinks this is that and this is not that. We do not accept the claim that it means to be free from from conceptual thought. So here, just one last thing. Looking back to this path of preparation stage, this is a good way of explaining it. This name is the best name I've ever seen. It says the supreme mundane quality stage. So what that means is it's the highest mundane stage. Mundane here is referring to worldly and an ordinary being. So it's the last time you're basically an ordinary being, the last stage that's mundane. So it's the highest mundane stage there is, and that's the fourth stage of the path of preparation. So that's a really good way to explain it. And that's the reason that there's been so much mix-up. You say it's just the Hashan view, but a lot of people who study even Mahamudra say just meditating on the emptiness of the mind. If you don't understand that that means the mind's dependent origination, and you just think you're meditating on the emptiness, the mind not being filled, then that's incorrect. Meditating on the emptiness of the mind is meditating on the nature of the mind. Is the mind truly established or not truly established? But if you mistakenly hear that phrase, you could think you're just meditating on the mind not having thought. So that's what's being negated here, is this idea that meditating on no thought somehow gets rid of the negative conceptuality at its core, when it doesn't. Just like the idea that if you have a rope in a room and you mistakenly think it's a snake, if someone walks in and says, it's not an elephant, that doesn't remove the fear. All it does is just say it's not something else. So likewise, just by removing the thoughts from your mind, you're not getting at the root of what the ignorance is in the first place. In the case of the snake, the root of the ignorance is that it's a snake, it's a rope, it's not a snake. So the idea that it's a snake is the ignorance. Once you know it's not a snake and you know it's a rope, it gets rid of all of the other stuff, all of the fear and all of the other things that come along with that. And it's just like that in the other example. Once you remove the ignorance that grasps, then it removes all of the other things that come along with it. So anyway, so opponent's position, and then we're going to end and have some questions. We also do not agree with the first position, which says that meditation on emptiness means setting the mind in a non-conceptual state without finding the view. Nor do we agree with the second position, which says that after one has found the view, any placement of the mind in a non-conceptual state is meditation on emptiness. However, one should meditate without any discursive thought in alternative periods, beginning with a period devoted to analysis using discriminated wisdom. Following that, any placement of the mind in a non-conceptual state is meditation on the meaning of emptiness. This also is not correct, because if this were the case, it would most absurdly follow that when someone analyzes the view while falling asleep, that person's subsequent non-conceptual condition during sleep would be a meditation on emptiness. This is because the two situations are alike and that they are preceded by the analysis of the view, and because apparently your position is that meditation on emptiness does not require placement of your mind on the view at the same time. Therefore, after you have analyzed the view, you stabilize your mind on the conclusion that phenomena do not intrinsically exist. If it then moves slightly, its placement on the view is lost. At that point, keeping your mind in a generalized condition of thoughtlessness does not constitute meditation on emptiness. Therefore, you must train in conceptual analysis. You have to monitor whether your attention is remaining on the view and then sustain the view in meditation. The fourth refutation. The opponent's position. We do not agree with the previous three. When one meditates on emptiness, one brings about certain knowledge of the view. Then, holding the mind on that point, one stabilizes the mind without analyzing anything else. This is genuine meditation on emptiness, because unlike the first system, it is not the case that the mind is not even turned toward emptiness. Unlike the second system, it is not the case that the mind is not mindful of the view of emptiness while sustaining a non-conceptual state. Unlike the third system, it is not the case that one first analyzes the view and then stabilizes the mind in a non-conceptual condition in which the mind does not remain on the view. Reply: what you call analysis of the view is simply remembering the view and then performing only stabilizing meditation on the view. To claim that this is meditation on emptiness is not correct, because if it were, there would be only serenity, which performs stabilizing meditation on emptiness. There would be no analytical meditation, which is the method for sustaining insight. Therefore, this is a one-sided practice that cannot sustain the union of serenity and insight. So just real quickly, the 5 paths, this is referring to the 5 Mahayana paths. There are also 5 Hinayana paths. So the 5 Hinayana paths, it begins with renunciation, is the entrance into the path of accumulation in the 5 Hinayana paths. So it's the path of accumulation. They're all named the same: accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation, and no more learning. The path of accumulation for a Hinayanist is renunciation, and then similar things that follow. The path of accumulation for a Mahayanist is bodhicitta. So you become a bodhisattva when you achieve the path of accumulation as a Mahayanist. A Hinayanist becomes a renunciate at that stage. So, and there's 5 paths for both Hinayana and Mahayana, and the Hinayana paths are only meant to remove the afflictive obstructions, and the Mahayana paths remove both the afflictive obstructions and the obstructions to omniscience. Any questions? Yes. We have to wait for the mic, just so that we make sure the question gets on the film. Okay. We need a mic passer. Whenever this starts, we're going to need a designated mic passer. If you know tricks, I would nominate you first for mic passing. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to take the job of mic passing, you might want to learn tricks. That's all. No one has any idea what I'm even saying. I'm looking over there. No one's even paying any attention, so it's cool. I'm glad you caught on, Terry. I appreciate you.
So the discussion about anger reminded me of something I had been struggling with. And it relates to daily injustices based on belonging to a certain group. It could be race, culture, sex, whatever. And I'm sure Rinpoche can speak to this because of how the Tibetans have been treated by the Chinese. But just, and especially with this talk on emptiness, it inspires me to not react, but still there's a part of me that feels like there is some sort of reaction that will heal the injustices, and I'm trying to figure out what the correct action is.
The reaction isn't wrong, because conventional humans are being conventionally harmed. So all of that is taking place. Buddhism never says that's not taking place. It's your way of fighting back against injustice, if you will. I'm going to ask Rinpoche, so if you do it without anger, and you do it with love, and you're doing it to free sentient beings from suffering, then that's Buddhist practice, and that would be necessary to do for illusory beings with illusory suffering, because conventionally they are suffering, and conventionally they are Rinpoche. The ngatsu tomba ni geche she, and then tomba ni sano dana. Then sansan the ninji nugdu kongi segdu ninji dan shamba that's nugdu gangen sena the toni sano dana. Then the sacha agenda the ngama the pula mao se tong leso the me mambo seson. Then yene the tomba ni salo mambo dana the chikshena the seiken tomba ni sepa tomba ni the kanga tomba ni dene ngama the ninji shera chambo kanga ga the sem chipo yomare. Then tomba ni salo dana kongit sampa the ninji dets nugdu gutsu son Rinpoche gangen sena the tambo the Dungyal Demba Drupa Tsampa Ninji Chembo Chagdu Gangen Sena the Dungyal Demba Drupa yen Nga Ninji Chembo Gangen Sena the sentient Dungyal Mambo Yure Gangen Sena Nge Tsampa the Dungyal Demba Drupa yen. Then Tomba Ni Sanlo Dana Sansan the Ninji Nugdu Gangen Sena the Tomba Keomare. Then Kandre the nyamdu nyamlenche triwa ni the triwa tambo
tomba ni la san don ni jil no se no ma
leso
tomba ni se kan de kan ma bala ko ju ma
leso
tomba ni so nga se ji do was
leso
ma to pombo nga su bala tu ne do was
leso
ma to ba ro ma ba la tomba ni la
leso so
tende hi no de ma do.
So the emptiness, that when we speak of emptiness, we aren't negating in any way conventionally what's going on. We're not saying that this event that we are recognizing isn't taking place conventionally. And we are recognizing that if we have valid cognition, then we recognize that it is definitely happening conventionally. And if we have compassion, then we should want, if we see someone suffering, to remove that suffering conventionally. But it's the understanding that the I is not inherently existent, is not truly established, because it's merely a collection of things coming together that is nominally designated as this or that, which is the emptiness. It isn't that these things aren't conventionally happening and these things don't conventionally hurt. It's that these things have a conventional truth and an ultimate truth. And our ability to understand the twofold way of existing that everything has allows us to intelligently be compassionate. It allows us to not only be compassionate that they're suffering, but that they're not understanding that their suffering is empty. So it adds another layer of compassion if nothing else. It doesn't weaken the compassion. It adds more compassion because you recognize that the whole thing that is conventionally hurting and is conventionally something you should do something about is also simultaneously existing in a way that isn't being apprehended by the average bear, if you will, by the average person. So if you are able to recognize as a practitioner that yes, that person's suffering, and yes, that's all empty, but it's working, that suffering's working for them. It works, like it makes them hurt. So, and don't want that to happen. Conventionally, you work at the things you would conventionally do to remove it, while knowing that your generosity is empty, you are empty, what you're helping is empty, but that's only tells you the way that it kind of subsides. It isn't commenting on the experience and how it feels. It's just commenting on how the experience is really occurring.
And then I guess
so dene the trua nipa dene ngatsu me dungyal yuken tona ngatsu ropache gugudwe the me raze the ngugu the jimbodan then ngatsu the tomba keo mare the ngatsu ropache ke chembudwe
Rinpoche tuna yabashirara was.
Garishene the tomba ni garishene pentodu. The konso tomba garishene pentodu. The jimba dana ngatsu garishene pentodu. Konso tomba yen.
Yibat nana kusur pen da garota.
Konso pen.
Kusur pen garota.
The ngatsu jepo gare ngatsu lesa dwe.
Kusur pen suna ngatsul gawa yungures.
So, and also we recognize that if we can, for instance, if there's someone suffering and in need, and we're able to help them, if we can, they are suffering and they are in need conventionally. And if we can help them, then we are someone who can help them. And if we want to help remove their suffering, we do the best we can. We don't know any action we do is really going to help their suffering, ever. We never know. We're not omniscient. We don't know. We really don't know when you give someone poor food, if it wasn't the hungry meal that was going to motivate them to go change the world the next day. You'd have no clue what we're doing. But you have to operate within the framework that we see and can do. And the Rinpoche said that if you do that generosity, even though you don't know what you really just did, you are being generous. You are creating virtue. You are creating the causes for Buddhahood and happiness, minimally happiness, and the most happiness Buddhahood. And you are helping them in some way to at least see someone cared. You know, there is something helping to some degree, somehow, if it isn't a moment of feeling loved. So you have to conventionally work within what is here, because that's how you amass merit. And you amass goodness to be able to be only good. You have to practice it.
Okay, so I see that kind of the path of right action to ameliorate suffering is generosity, or at least that's one paramita, right?
One way, yes.
And yeah, because I struggle, I guess, living in this society, seeing how injustices are normally dealt with in the legal system, or exposing through the media, and that causes a lot of polarization and maybe causes even more suffering. And so those things I should avoid, right? And I should be focusing on... It says that you should
stay as far away from the source of... When you are a beginning practitioner, you should stay... it talks about proximity of your object, and you should move further away, is what it says for beginning practitioners. If there's something which is of, for a beginner, is of great attachment or great anger, you should remove yourself from the proximity of that object.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
I mean, that's in scripture for sure, 100%. Maybe one or question more and then we'll go, because it's getting late and we have to do a refuge. And we want to just give Rinpoche his time.
Oh, hi, good morning. I just wondered, so you said that like emptiness is hidden phenomena, correct? So what would be an example of extremely hidden phenomena?
Yes.
Oh, that's the question. What is an example of extremely
Yeah,
hidden
we just said
phenomena?
it. Yeah.
Quartz clock, and it ticks this way. The hidden phenomena would be between this second and this second. Time is still moving, but you don't see it. So here's let's say the top of the hour. 1 second passed, 2 seconds passed.
That's to be hidden. It wouldn't be extremely hidden, though.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying hidden phenomena would be in between the 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Right?
the impermanence.
Okay.
Rinpoche, Shintu Kojor, Gunzu Kojor, Shintu Kojor, the Shintu Kojor, the Dets Lauro Nang, that's the Jimbi Lonshu Chenji de, Nihako Du, Yanger Sudo Nang, the Shintu Kojor, Dets Lauro Nang. That's so. The Garshine, the Namchengu. The Shina Namchen Yingu. The Jimbi Longshu Chenji de Namchen Yingu.
Jibatan the Longshan Jungle Sanda, then Tradition Deluce, what does Shinto Kuju, but Long Conala in each in a two Namato, Motujitan, the two woman.
Yine Su, the Jimbi Longshu Chenji je Shina, the Sanjay Kuna, Garshene, Sanjay Namchen Yin. Tata Yimba.
Sanji Kunas woman.
Shintu Kujor, the Megenda Hakogudwe.
Good.
Su.
Rolla then. Sanji
Line, the Munsun Sama.
Jimbaton, the Longshan Jones, Rolla then.
Yine Munsun Sama Rinpoche. Munsun Sama.
Mosu Sama, you did. Sama, you are there. Tomato do Shingo, he says it down than do.
Yine the Su, the lay than Jepo data shina Namken Yingu, no barbe. The data, the tanda Jeff degdu, then Jeff dra dets garpo dets napo, garshene, the Jew garre, Namchen Yingu, yo marbe. The Jew kanga, the Jew, the kg, the Jew kanga, garshene, the lo jipju, the lo jip she.
Imagine not to go Marta, the Moshe Moyo, Shenship Moshe. When you don't Moshe, what to took shit over.
The ngushe, the lay kanga shintue.
I should do more.
Nanchen yingo.
I can't go.
Then they su the lay tanche shindue. Sanjay. Anyway, we're just having a slight debate. I'm sorry about this. We're just seeing if it was, in order for one to know all of the cause and effect of past lives, whether it was required for someone to be a Buddha, to have omniscience, to be able to. And Rinpoche said there are facets of the linkage that a clairvoyant could understand. So going back to your question, let me go to the front part of the question, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the question is an example of extremely hidden phenomena. So that would be a quote from the Buddha. For instance, from generosity comes the enjoyments. From patience comes a good color. From ethics comes happiness. So being able to say that this specific behavior is what gives the result of that specific experience, that would be extremely hidden phenomena. And an ordinary being or an Arya would arrive at that belief through inference originally, would not directly perceive it, it would require him or her to rely upon faith that the Buddha is omniscient, the Buddha knows all of this, and that this is what causes that. Now, are there other beings that could understand that linkage because of clairvoyance? I guess Rinpoche says yes, but the entire linkage and all of it, that's where the debate would take place. Where does omniscience pick up and the peak of clairvoyance leave off? That would be a debate that would take place in the monastery. And I wasn't armed to start, so I just bowed out gracefully of that.
Thank you.
But that's the example of the linkage between experience and, was it 1,000,000 lifetimes ago that made me, look the way I do, or was it my last life? That kind of linkage. And it's like breaks down to my hair's brown because of 10 million lifetimes ago, and my eyes are this because of 1 lifetime ago, and my lips are like that. It's literally that complicated. So that's the hidden, extremely hidden phenomena. Why is it like that?
Okay. Thank you.
But Rinpoche wasn't budging on it has to be omniscience. Because I was under the impression that, so I needs to study a little more. 1,000,000 lifetimes. Okay, so we're going to end there, concluding mandala and dedication prayer, and then everyone will do their normal thing, and then we'll do the refuge vow ceremony.
We'll do ours between.
Okay, yeah, let's, after this. Okay. All right, concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue by the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Suji Rinpoche, Gutsi Shapi Denonam.